And we are live. Welcome to the live stream, everyone. I'm here to take your questions, and be sure to look at the timestamps, which I'll get up so that hopefully we can address a number of topics. And I'm going to jump into this very first question here. I'm just reading off the YouTube comments. Somebody asked the question. They said, I'm currently taking Qualia Mind. Can I take Lion's Mane along with Qualia Mind? I've been doing this so far, and I've been seeing great results. I personally don't see any issue with that. With Qualia Mind, we know it to be a great nootropic blend. It has a number of ingredients out there, and they actually don't have lion's mane. In fact, two things which kind of surprised me about lion's mane, or number one, the fact that, two things which surprised me with Qualia Mind is that, number one, there is no ashwagandha, and secondly, the fact that there is no lion's mane, because these are two nootropics which are probably like the most popular around stress, anxiety. Some people like them as well for productivity, but they're not in Qualia Mind. And the reason is because Qualia Mind is more so designed for focus, for levels of drive, for ambition, for getting work done. And those two ingredients, they can be kind of calming for some people. They can be a little bit even demotivating. So I don't personally see anything wrong with adding in the lion's mane. That's the rationale as far as why they've done it. And the way you may want to do that is add 500 milligrams of lion's mane. Have it 2 times a day. That's pretty good for most people. Just getting into it, you may want to start it off with 500 milligrams a day with lion's mane, and then you can adjust the dosage up to 2. What's up, guys? Tongkat Ali and Tribulus together, too much. I don't personally think it's too much. They're pretty subtle nootropics. In fact, with some people, like they'll take Tribulus terrestris, they'll see some results for about a week or so, and then they don't see any results with them at all. Like with Tribulus, more so the effect that I get personally from it is I get better sleep, deeper sleep. I feel a little bit stronger, but nowhere near comparable to Tongkat Ali. Tongkat Ali, you feel significantly stronger. A lot of people are able to like break past strength plateaus. You can feel the increased libido to some extent. So I don't think that's wrong. The way you may want to do that is 200 milligrams of Tongkat Ali, along with 750 milligrams to 1 gram of Tribulus. And the way you're best off getting started with taking Tribulus terrestris. I think if you're taking it once a day, once before you sleep, testosterone supplements, most commonly, they are to be taken before you sleep, with the exception of Tongkat Ali. So before you sleep, and then if you are to take it twice a day, then once in the morning, once a night is good. And with Tribulus, something great is it doesn't matter whether you're in a fed state or a fasted state, it should still be working well for you. What's up, guys? Any natural nootropics to increase drive? Piracetam was an overall negative experience. First, to address the negative experience with piracetam, it very well could have been because you were not taking it with choline, or you weren't taking it with the right form of choline. I'd like to learn a little bit more about that in your experience. Natural nootropics, the number one would be L-Tyrosine. Of course, tyrosine being an amino acid. I'm sure many of you are like just tired of me talking about it because it's in it's in a lot of the videos that I talk about in nootropic blends, because it does really deliver when it comes to drive, focus, motivation. But with tyrosine, it really works when you're fasted. It works when you're stressed out. Assuming that you're performing well, maybe you ate a meal, you don't really notice too much from it. If you're looking for something that can give you like a boost of motivation throughout the whole day, spacing out your caffeine could work very well for you. You may want to consider Noopep. Even though piracetam maybe didn't work for you, Noopep, there's a good chance that it can. Like when I was taking crazy doses of Noopep, 50 milligrams up, I definitely saw the benefit. I was more motivated. My numbers were better. I'm in a sales role, so I'm very like analytical and looking at the data all the time. And I really like Noopep for that. In fact, the more results minded you are, the more you'll notice Noopep working. So those are 2 great ones to get started with. I just bought Gorilla Mind. I saw your review and the comment back. Has your opinion on it changed since then? I mean, I didn't necessarily say bad things about Gorilla Mind. What I said was I didn't understand why they changed the ingredient formula, and I think I said I don't know why they got out the lion's mane. Like Gorilla Mind, it's a great product. It's a great product for the price tag. It's not the most effective product, but they've done a very good job like putting in a number of ingredients in there in that supplement blend to be able to offer it at such a low price. I think that's what overall makes them really good. But is it a very strong nootropic? Compared to Qualia Mind, or even compared to Mind Lab Pro, which is nowhere near like the quality of Qualia Mind, it's nowhere even close. You may not notice much from it, just have that expectation. But how do you feel about on it? Because that's the most important thing. I like nootropic blends. I like taking them here and there. Like I'm a human being. I don't like to take the same ingredients every single day in and day out. It's fun throwing in a nootropic blend here and there, or sometimes I'll take them with me when I'm on vacation or I'm traveling. So I'm a big fan of nootropic blends. I'm not against them. They're pretty cool. I drink a lot of energy drinks and I'm trying to get off of them. What would you say is a healthier way? Man, I would love to help with that because stimulants are no good, or stimulants should be used strategically, and very often they are not, unfortunately. So with a healthier way to start off with is what energy, well, look at what energy drinks have. First of all, in most cases, they have caffeine. They have L-Tyrosine, the amino acid I mentioned prior. They have high levels of vitamin B, most often B12. They'll have taurine. So I would just get those ingredients there, and that way you don't have to have some of the artificial things in there. I don't really think that energy drinks are all that bad as people make them to be. What's bad is having an addiction to energy drinks or drinking too much Red Bull, for example. But you look at the ingredient profile as far as the nootropics are concerned, and they're pretty good ingredients. So you can start off there, have them in supplements. It's not going to be anywhere as fun. It won't taste as good, but that's what happens. Okay, cool. So they were taking Alpha GPC along with the Piracetam. They weren't getting the best results. Consider taking CDP choline. Maybe that can work with you. There's always a chance. But when you say like a negative experience with Piracetam, I'm not sure what you mean. When I was on Piracetam, the negative experience was not feeling anything from it, or I thought it wasn't doing anything, but then I took some time off of Piracetam and I really could tell my memory, my verbal fluency, recall, just all of those areas of cognition weren't performing as well. Any opinion for stacking Rhodiola with Bacopa, lion's mane, and the Racetams? So I personally did that today, and I do that most days. And the way that I would do that is, first of all, with Bacopa and with Rhodiola rosea, I like taking them in the afternoon. I like to take them after a few hours of work, because that's the point. Like, you'll get a few hours of work done, and then you start to feel the fatigue, and that's a great opportunity for you to take advantage of that Rhodiola rosea and that Bacopa Mineri serving. So how I would use them together: 300 to 500 milligrams of Rhodiola rosea, 300 to 500 milligrams of Bacopa Mineri, 300 to 500 milligrams of lion's mane. And with the Racetams, and keep in mind Alpha GPC or a choline source, Piracetam, somewhere like 1 gram of Piracetam twice a day could be good. If it's oxiracetam or anhedonia, somewhere between 500 milligrams to 750 milligrams. I would really say just follow the instructions or the directions, or advise use on whatever supplement that you go ahead and get, and then you should be good. There's no real magic to it. They're all very subtle nootropics, with the exception of phenylpiracetam, which I'm hoping you're not covering. Like, they're subtle. You may not like really see anything happen from them. I mean, of those, the ones which I would notice working the most would be Rhodiola rosea and maybe oxiracetam. Those ones you can feel like a slight boost of alertness, but nothing too significant. You can't even compare it to 50 milligrams of caffeine, where you can actually feel it and you're stimulated. And guys, don't mind giving this thing a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. It helps this live stream get going. And don't be shy about your question, because if you're holding back a question, then you're not serving everybody else, because everybody else may be sitting there hoping that you ask it. So I know you got something good to ask. Have you used Saffron? If so, what are your thoughts? Yes, haven't noticed much from it. It's safe. we like that. Is it at all effective as a nootropic? Not really. There's probably 50 other things that you could take and see a better benefit from. What can offset the fatigue from Bacopa, Rhodiola? No, not necessarily. I would really consider just taking a smaller dose of Bacopa. A lot of people just take too much. Like, I don't like the fact that with Nootropics Depot, or with a lot of or with most supplement vendors, for example, they have a 500 milligram serving of Bacopa. It's a lot of Bacopa. Even now, like, if I'm taking a serving of Bacopa Mineri, it's only 300 milligrams. You can even start off a little bit less. Because it's clearly working for you. If you feel the fatigue, then more likely you would feel some of the benefits with respect to improved stress resilience, maybe a better memory, maybe slightly better verbal fluency or thinking or in planning. So try a smaller dose. If not, you can always adjust the type of Bacopa that you're taking. However, with Bacopa, people often ask, is there any difference between the two popular ones, Bacognize and Synapsa? I've not found really any difference. It doesn't hurt to try. And as far as energy promoters, things that can work, Noopep, that one's good when it comes to focus. If it's physical energy, then caffeine is always going to be your best bet. You can consider taking Piracetam. You can consider taking some Racetams, but the way they're going to help you is not necessarily when it comes to physical energy, more like just mental. I wouldn't even call it energy, kind of like mental clarity, right? Feeling a bit more calm, feeling a bit more focused, because Bacopa will just take away your focus, which is kind of the worst thing about it. And I hope that was helpful. which other alternatives to caffeine can you take to cycle caffeine? That's a great question. So dynamine is one, theocrine, ephedrine, though I don't recommend it. And then you have things like phenylpiracetam and you have modafinil. Phenylpiracetam and modafinil, I'm using those once, maybe twice a week. That's it. You don't want to take them 2 days in a row because especially with phenylpiracetam, people often feel withdrawals after they come off of it. So you get a good boost of energy that lasts throughout the whole day, which is very unlike other nootropics out there. So with respect to theocrine, it's promoted to be as kind of similar to caffeine without the negatives, without the side effects, without the crash. I don't like it that much. It's more mentally stimulating than it is physically. And you don't get that same kind of like euphoria that you feel with caffeine. In fact, I actually took 100 milligrams of theocrine today, and I did not like it. I felt pretty anxious, and I don't know why I tried it. It was just kind of like sitting there and tempting me. I've yet to meet anyone who says that theocrine, it has been a consistent supplement for them that they use over caffeine. So that's the first one. The second one would be dynamine, which they have at Nootropics Depot. I actually like it. Dynamine, it's more physically energizing. It doesn't keep me up at night as much as caffeine does, for example. So that's a good one. However, will it allow you to take a break from caffeine effectively? Probably not. When it comes to theocrine and dynamine, those probably hit the same receptors, so you wouldn't be getting the most out of your kind of like caffeine break for you to be in a position to get back on caffeine and feel all those energetic benefits that you want. So that's something to consider. So with dynamine, more physical energy, and I think the only one I haven't addressed would be modafinil. With modafinil, more mentally stimulating. You'll find that like you can effortlessly task switch. You become like a multitasker. I mean, you can just do it so effortlessly. Take a call, text somebody, write an email, draw something, do a haircut, whatever it is. Like modafinil just makes it so effortless to do all these different things. You just get a lot done. But the problem is with modafinil is your judgment becomes very impaired and you forget what the most important things are to do every single day. There's probably 2 or 3 things that if you just simply get those things done every day, like for me, I know what they are. I sell houses. I have to call my clients, I have to follow up, and I have to go on appointments. And then everything else is a bunch of things which don't matter that can be just given to a virtual assistant or somebody else. So it kind of just offsets your judgment with that. So with modafinil, the best practice is to kind of like design your workday, schedule it out the day before, and then the day after, you take your modafinil, at least you know what needs to be done, and then you get the energy. So that was a long answer, but hopefully everyone else did get some value from it. What is a good testosterone boosting stack for productivity? Well, that's two things, because boosting your testosterone is not always the same as boosting your productivity. If you know what I mean. Currently taking Tongkat Ali first thing in the morning, and then 1,000 milligrams of L-Tyrosine 2 hours later. Okay, cool. Tongkat Ali, first and foremost, make sure that you are taking that with a meal. Otherwise, you will feel horrible side effects. If you take Tongkat Ali in a fasted state, what that looks like is nausea. You'll feel this like sense of wanting to vomit. It's horrible. So I made that mistake. Don't make that mistake. Have a very small dose of Tongkat Ali. Unfortunately, I would say like 80% of people do not notice that Tongkat Ali actually boosts their cognition. Or boosts their memory, or gives them any sort of like cognitive enhancement. More so just helps them with all the markers of having an improved testosterone level, right? So that's something to consider. Don't have too high expectations when it comes to Tongkat Ali. That's that. And then you're taking 1,000 milligrams of L-Tyrosine 2 hours later. Depending on you and your workday, you may be better off actually splitting your tyrosine dosage into 2 servings. So not 500 milligrams, that's too small. Like consider a dosage of taking 750 milligrams and then take 750 milligrams about 3 hours afterwards. Because with L-Tyrosine, it's pretty short lasting. Yes, it works. There's some talk about L-Dopa being a better kind of alternative that you can take once during the day and it will last longer than L-Tyrosine. But that has not been my personal experience with it. And I've talked about some variations of L-Tyrosine with N-acetyl L-Tyrosine. That's a short lasting one. The serving size is about 350 milligrams. There's some talk about it crossing the blood-brain barrier in a more efficient way, but L-Tyrosine is great. 500 milligrams isn't enough for most people. 750 milligrams to a gram is good. If you're going to use it for pre-workout purpose, that's the one time when you can get away with taking a little bit more L-Tyrosine because it really does work. I'll take 1, even up to 2 grams pre-workout, and it's good. Did ashwagandha make you somewhat numb of feelings and emotions over time? Not really. I mean, I wouldn't say numb of feelings, but I could tell that it wasn't making me more productive in the sense of I wasn't making more calls. I wasn't wanting to necessarily have good work habits, read, invest time into personal development. Like kind of like all those things that it would make such a difference for you to just put like 1 or 2 more hours in during the day. Ashwagandha will not really help you with that. I think ashwagandha more so will help you become a bit more present, become more calm, enjoy your work more, probably have better relationships. Maybe there could be a benefit with getting some more work done and productivity if you're maybe just overstressed and you're not enjoying your job too much. But even if that was the case, lion's mane would still be better. So ashwagandha, it's not in my top 5 nootropics. Heck, it's probably not even my top 10. If you were to take ashwagandha out of my nootropic stack, I personally wouldn't be too concerned with it because Bacopa Mineri gives me a very similar benefit, but it also does a much better job with me anyway. We're all different at helping me to eliminate stress, actually having a better capacity to tolerate more stress. Now, the way in which I'm using ashwagandha is I'm taking it once in the evening, and then I'm taking actually the form called Shodan. I'm taking that once before I sleep, just about 120 milligrams, and it's great. It doesn't necessarily knock you out, but I found that I have less sleep disturbances. I wake up feeling like I'm a bit more recharged, which is good. So ashwagandha, it's a double-edged sword in a lot of ways. Depends on what kind of work you're doing, of course. Hope that's helpful. Hey man, I'm about to take CDP choline for ADHD. Any tips on what would go well with it for that purpose? I would recommend you go on examine.com, and they've made a list of all the different supplements and even like just like routines you can do to help you with ADHD. Like one of the things that surprises people is, as simple as it sounds, fish oil, omega-3s. Having a good source of fish oil high on EPA, high on DHA has been proven time and time again to help people with attention, help people with focus. So that's one. Bacopa Mineri also has some really solid research to it as well. With paracetam, not too much. It's more like with paracetam and the racetams, in theory, the mechanism of action in which it does work should be used to effectively treat ADHD symptoms, but we've yet to see any studies on that, really. And hope your experience with that goes well. Let me know if there's anything I could do to help. And good news is I've covered ADHD and ADHD nootropics in a number of videos, so you'll see them there on my channel. Just go on my channel, click the search ADHD. I think there's 3 videos, and we got another one coming. And thanks everyone hopping in over here. And be sure to drop your question because I'm going to run out of questions, and when I run out of questions, we're running out of live stream. Why no love for Go-To Cola? Because it didn't do anything for me. I give you guys the honest truth. Some people like Go-To Cola for sleep. Some people like it for stress. Some people like it for working out. I've yet to see any good results from it. I've taken a cycle of Go-To Cola probably twice. So 1 serving of it for 30 days straight, took a break, probably like a different phase of my life, tried it again. So let me know what you're getting from it. If you guys want me to cover it in a video, I'm more than happy to. Modafinil is great if you kind of know how to use it. I think my first year or 2 of taking modafinil, had I known what I know now and how to get the most out of it, and even just some just natural practices and routines to have during the day, like closing my eyes, taking a break, going for a walk, monitoring my breathing, that's a big one because modafinil, if it does anything, it will elevate your heart rate. And when your heart rate is elevated, you're just naturally anxious all the time. When you talk to people, you're so on edge to get words out of your mouth that you can't come from a compassionate space and listen to them. And me, I sell houses, I cannot be in that state. But now that I've kind of trained my mind a little bit to tolerate the impatience with people, if that makes sense, and with modafinil, I'm overall having a really good experience. So what I just don't like about it is like it does stop you from zooming out sometimes. Like with modafinil, don't get me wrong, you'll do the day-to-day work very, very well, especially once you're trained and you have some experience with it. But there never comes to a point where you're like, okay, I want to stop what I'm doing and stop everything and just work smarter. Kind of like to effectively be zoomed in, you should zoom out from time to time. It's hard with modafinil, you just don't have emotions kind of thing. And it's funny because you'll go to like a conference or something educational under the influence of modafinil and you'll leave and you won't remember any of it because you can't emotionalize whatever you're learning. But man, I could talk about modafinil all day. It's like I think it's just the most interesting thing in the world, and what's even more interesting is that there's case studies out there. There's people who've used it every single day for years, and they got off of it and no withdrawals whatsoever. Pretty crazy. Safe to take 750 milligrams of ashwagandha daily. I personally think that's okay. Whether that's the root, whether that's whatever extract it is, it's not too high of a dose. But depends on how you're feeling. I mean, You'll hear every side effect in the world about ashwagandha, from numbness to itchiness to fatigue to demotivation. Like like what else? So just it's going to be based on how you feel. But the good news is that you'll likely feel those side effects within the first week. Just be extra mindful for it. And here's what's very cool. It's like, if you do experience the short-term side effects of ashwagandha, like the demotivation or the fatigue, hey, just have it at night, because it won't kind of spread onto the next day, if that makes sense. If you take it like even a couple times in the evening, for example, let's say once at 8 p.m. and then once at 11, like right before you sleep, that's a nice way to kind of get it saturated in your system. It has a very long half-life, so in a couple weeks, you'll just wake up with the benefit without that negative side effect, if you're somebody that experiences the side effects in a very like acute fashion, if that makes sense. Would you recommend stacking Coluracetam and Fasoracetam, and what other nootropics to stack to complement them? So I would assume that you're using them for focus and for memory as well. I think they're both great. They're very subtle. So the other racetams, I just personally think that they're better. Anhedonia, pramracetam, oxiracetam, and paracetam. I see those four as much better than those two. That's just my experience. I would love to know everyone else's experience. You're welcome to put it in this, or if you're watching this late, drop it in the comments. What are your favorite racetams? Like, I can pinpoint them. And anheracetam, very good socially. You're just like your inhibitions are gone. You don't feel nervous. Oxiracetam, very good for focus. And pramracetam is like the willpower nootropic, if there is one. Willpower, discipline, embrace boredom, being in a state of just repeating the same things on and on and on. It's good. But pramracetam just tastes so bad. It's awful. What nootropics do you recommend for learning Python or IT related programming? Yeah, that's great. I've heard pretty good things about ashwagandha. Surprisingly, ashwagandha, lion's mane, even mixing ashwagandha with a little bit of caffeine to help you be stimulated, to help you actually have interest in the first place. But it'll depend more on you. It's kind of case specific. Is it like a memory, which is the issue? Is it energy? Heck, is it just generally having drive? Because then you can look at the nootropics and find the right one that fits your scenario. Someone made a comment on St. John's wort. Highly recommend with lion's mane. Just what I don't like about St. John's wort and why I don't talk about it in videos is it's like 50-50. Some people really like it. Some people don't like it. And then, no, even on top of that, there's some people that experience really bad side effects, like psychosis. Like if anyone has experience with bipolar, or mania, St. John's wort is one of those supplements they actually say to stay away from. It can just get you right back in it. So I didn't personally find anything for St. John's wort, but a lot of people like it for like mood stability, being in a better mood. Maybe it does brighten your mood. Hasn't been the case for me. What would you say is the best thing for brain fog? Most commonly, the reason brain fog takes place is because of caffeine crash, energy crash, perhaps your testosterone dips. I would say don't be too hard on yourself if it's the case of just brain fog in the early afternoon. It happens to everyone. They have actually documented that the most unproductive time for everyone is between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. So that doesn't count. I would say just start taking breaks. And very often what could be treated with like a way to just treat this if it is happening is it could just be that your blood sugar levels are dropping for whatever reason. What was the case for me at some point when I was experiencing brain fog was I was having really hard workouts, really fatigued, and I wasn't eating afterwards. So my blood sugar levels would drop. I felt that brain fog. I didn't feel focus. I didn't feel energy. So you may just want to keep a good monitor on that. There could, for example, just be some specific exercises out there which really drain you and hurt you and your cognition. The other thing is make sure that you're not multitasking. Multitasking is like the worst thing in the world. I never do it. I don't recommend it. It's just so taxing. There's actually a study done where they showed a multitasking brain and how much like just sugar it used in your brain, and it was really interesting. It was like you lose your brain fuel like that, which kind of makes sense because you'll single task throughout the whole course of the day, and like your discipline's better in the evening, your willpower is better in the evening. But I'm going to talk more about nootropics because that's what you guys want me to talk about. Fish oil, in my opinion, that's right. How do you feel about grains of paradise? I don't know much about it. I'm open to hearing more about it. And yeah, guys, I'm going to be doing these live streams more often. Probably like once a week. So if you're watching this late, I apologize that you weren't on it. This is probably going to be the time, unfortunately, where I can fit it into my schedule, but I want to connect with you guys. As you guys know, I respond to all the comments, usually within 2 to 3 days. That's how it is. So if I haven't responded to your message on Instagram, for example, like your best bet is just, sorry, you got to make it public and make a comment on one of my YouTube videos, because I will get back to it to the best of my ability. Thanks, guys. Do you have a Nootropics for Beginners guide? I'm looking for something that helps with energy and focus throughout the day. Yeah, Nish. So I made a couple videos on that. One I put one of them is Nootropics for Beginners. I would recommend you watch that. I made a video on Nootropics for anxiety and stress. I would recommend you watch that. I would recommend that you look at the not NZT48, but the Nootropics Limitless Stack, just because it will help you to kind of understand the fundamentals of nootropics a little bit more, and then you'll understand where to start. You could always go to my Patreon, because on my Patreon, I've made posts of like my whole stack, where I started with them, how I use the racetams together, so how I use paracetam with anhedonia, for instance, and like the actual cycle in which you should take time on and take time off. And yeah, really just the more of these videos you watch in the live stream, the quicker you're going to learn. And I sincerely believe that. Shilajit or Cistanche, which is stronger in your opinion? Okay, if I was to look at the actual strength of them from a scale of 1 to 5, Shilajit would be a 1, and Cistanche would maybe be a 3 or maybe a 2. Maybe I would give Shilajit a 1.5, but that's just because maybe I haven't tried it long enough. It's supposed to help with stress. Some people say Shilajit's supposed to help with testosterone levels. So when you say which is stronger, I don't know if you mean as an overall nootropic or if you mean for testosterone levels. I can just speak to what other people tell me, and that's with they report better results with testosterone from taking Shilajit over Cistanche. However, I've used both. I really like Cistanche. I have found that I am procrastinating a whole lot less. Like overthinking doesn't exist in my vocabulary or just my mindset anymore. I really thank Cistanche for that. It hasn't been a complete game changer, but it's definitely helped me like 20 to 30%. So I've been taking Cistanche now for probably 7 to 8 months. And the way that I'm taking it is just once in the morning, I'm following whatever Nootropics Depot has in their serving size. And yeah, it's been really good for me, actually. The two best nootropics for salesmen, I would say Noopept. Actually 3. Noopept, L-Tyrosine, and Rhodiola rosea. Noopept, that one's going to be the best just for general drive, ambition. L-Tyrosine is going to help you when you're stressed out, especially because as a salesperson, my heart is with you salespeople, because you get rejected, and although you get paid at a high level, nobody likes rejection, nobody likes confrontation, nobody likes like the repetitive work that's involved. But hey, that is why it pays so well, because you're getting uncomfortable. So that one's going to be great, L-Tyrosine. And then if you're working long work days, Rhodiola rosea at 500 milligrams, that's great. And then on top of that, I would really recommend the use of caffeine, actually, especially if you're somebody that exercises. You'll find that caffeine, it'll just make you in a better mood. It will get you kind of away from like the logical brain to the other brain, that you want to be a bit creative. You want to be able to imagine the sale and the transaction happening as you'd like to be. So it gets you kind of like out of those analytical tendencies, because analytical people do not make great salespeople, and that's something that we know for a fact. They gotta shut down their skeptical mind, because if you're skeptical in your being, then you're creating and you're manifesting skeptical clients. Nobody wants skeptical clients. We want people that say yes, let's go. Thoughts on neem powder and turmeric? Neem powder, I know nothing about it. Maybe there's a different way of saying neem. And turmeric, nothing special. Kind of falls in the same category of saffron. So I add it to my cooking. It's okay. Just don't add too much of it. It will make your teeth discolored, but it's okay. Nothing special from it. I'm under prescription for benzos, but look forward to change to nootropics. Can you give me a recommendation? Nootropics can go alongside benzos for anxiety and motivation. Lion's mane and L-theanine, those are two really popular ones. I've never been through like the withdrawals of benzos. Man, it sounds scary. As a matter of fact, there's some supplements out there which can actually kind of feel similar to benzos, believe it or not. But those two are going to be good, especially with anxiety. Lion's mane is really going to help you just be a bit unattached, help you to kind of like stick it through and get the discipline to know that this tough time is not going to last forever. So the way that I would get started with that is I would take 500 milligrams twice a day. And the best form of lion's mane is going to be the 8-to-1 dual extract that you'll find on nootropicsdepot.com. It doesn't matter if you take it in a fasted state or a fed state. Like if you're somebody that likes mixing your nootropics with coffee, you can get it. You can get lion's mane infused with your coffee. There's a few brands that have that. Four Sigmatic being one. I don't know. Just check out the description box below, because I've got some brands out there, and lion's mane coffee is always going to be a good one. And hope that works well for you with lion's mane. Just be a bit patient with it. It definitely does help you be more present and helps you get out of that funk. Any take on choline and carnitine increases blood TMAO level. TMAO is associated with increased stroke risk. There's a lot of talk about this. There was this Alpha GPC study that was posted that actually did show there was an increase of stroke risk. And I looked it up. I wasn't necessarily convinced, because they measured people over a long period of time. And I don't know. I just think that they need more data. There was so many people that dropped out of the study. There's so many environmental factors. So need more evidence to convince me to get off of Alpha GPC. With the carnitine, that one doesn't concern me. I don't use carnitine too much anyway, although it is found in our diet. I think it's pretty overrated as a whole. Have you listened to Andrew Huberman's episode on tools for better sleep? Input on the sleep stack. Okay, cool. Well, we can look at the sleep stack. Nish, thanks for putting that in there. It saves me the trouble of looking it up. So first, no, I haven't watched the episode, but Andrew Huberman is great. I think he's not only good at explaining things, but he's very entertaining. And he, of course, knows a lot. So we like Mr. Huberman. Magnesium threonate, love it. Apigenin, don't use it. L-theanine, inositol. Nothing spectacular, really. Magnesium threonate, that's like a really good form of magnesium. It's very interesting because you can use it for more energy. At the same time, you can use it for better sleep. You can find it on nootropicsdepot.com. But the reason most people don't take it, well, first is because they just may not know about it. And second, it's expensive as heck. For a magnesium supplement, I don't know people taking it as often as they would take a normal magnesium supplement, which is pretty affordable. It's like taking vitamin D, for example. So it's okay. I've not really found it to affect my sleeps too much. I'm using it here and there. L-theanine, that one's pretty common that you'll see in nootropic sleep blends out there. And inositol, nothing. Yeah, it's so subtle you probably won't notice anything from it. So with the sleep stack, I'm not too impressed, but it's Andrew Huberman. He's speaking to like the masses. So I can understand why he would want to give them something safe. And the reality is, just give people any sleep supplement because it's better than them being on melatonin. But some of my favorites would include, and I still use melatonin like strategically here and there, but not even once a week. I'm talking like a couple times a month, if that, perhaps when I'm traveling. In fact, I made a video, Nish, that you'll like if this is something which interests you. It's alternatives to melatonin. And some of the ones that I mentioned are taking Shodan, which is the form of ashwagandha, which is great. I think I mentioned L-theanine, ZMA, that's a great supplement. And then Tribulus terrestris, like I mentioned earlier in this video, 750 milligrams to 1 gram of Tribulus. My favorite brand being Now Sports. That one has been great. Have you tried ND's maca yet? I did not even know that they had maca. Very cool. I'm looking forward to trying that. Thanks for letting me know. Excuse me. Thoughts on phosphatidylserine? I love it. Phosphatidylserine is one of the best things that you can take when you're kind of like stressed out. You want a good boost of cognition. So the practical way in which I use phosphatidylserine is, let's say it's the evening. I have a couple hours of work to do. I can't eat dinner and wind down just yet. I just gotta kind of grind it out, find that last bit of energy. That's where a serving with phosphatidylserine and L-Tyrosine, I love it. There's 2 supplements which don't keep me up at night. Otherwise, I'd be using caffeine. They give me the physical energy. They give me the mental energy. They actually give me like a mental clarity. And yeah, just really happy with it. I think the more kind of tired you are, the more you'll notice phosphatidylserine working. I've talked about this. I made a video before. What was it called? Nootropics to take when you're sleep deprived. And that was one of my favorite ones, like phosphatidylserine. I remember back in the day when I was selling houses, studying to finish my degree, and like my go-to when I was sleeping 4 or 5 hours a day, like no exaggeration, with some naps, it was caffeine and phosphatidylserine. Because when you don't sleep enough, what happens is your short-term memory is like really impaired. You'll do something, you will not remember what you've done, and it just really becomes hard to juggle a bunch of tasks. But you'll take some phosphatidylserine, no joke, this stuff works. Your short-term memory, it's back, and it's back working well. It will actually convince you to start sleeping less, that's how much it works, or that's how much it works for me anyway. So let me know, guys, if you want me to talk more about that one in a future video. But I love phosphatidylserine. I didn't like the fact that now when you get it from Nootropics Depot, for example, it does have some calories. I think it has like 5 calories, 10 calories, because they've infused it with some fat in a soft gel, because apparently you're supposed to get better results from taking it that way. Thoughts on, hey guys, I really appreciate you. Like, this is the most clean live stream that we've had. No cursing, no crazy testosterone questions. So I appreciate you all. I know in India there's a major holiday right now, so we don't have as many people as usual. But man, you guys are great. I appreciate you. So thoughts on increasing norepinephrine to increase obsessive drive when it comes to attacking your goal. Wow. Norepinephrine. Yeah, norepinephrine is so key. I think the more you can raise that, the more drive you have. And really, I can't think of any more effective way of doing it than just spreading out your caffeine dose throughout the day. Or even something like ephedrine, which I don't recommend you take ephedrine, but it is one of like the alternatives, you could say, to caffeine. People most often use that one for fat loss, but it does keep that level of drive really up. But the answer to this more so is actually going to be in your diet. If you're not feeling that drive, very often it can be solved by ingesting a little bit more protein than you're accustomed to. And I'm surprised more people don't talk about that. But yeah, get your protein in. It has all those amino acids that you need to boost that drive. Have you tried sulfatiamine? I have, and I was expecting some mood stabilization from it. That's what a lot of people like it for, but I didn't notice anything from it. Maybe I'll be up to trying it again. What's your favorite Cordyceps product / extract? That's funny because I've got none. Cordyceps has done nothing for me the several times I have tried it. Guys, I've really tried it. You've convinced me to try it. I was expecting to get a cardio benefit or some sort of benefit over the last time I took it. Maybe I'm just somebody, I don't know, healthy. I barely drink. I don't smoke. I eat pretty healthy, complex carbohydrates. I track my macros, exercise well. So maybe that's why I unfortunately didn't see Cordyceps working for me, but some people love it. Like, again, goes to the fact that we're all different. I suggest not taking too many nootropics. Take a long time testing just a few nootropics. Don't mix them up too early. Just the problem with that exists is that it takes so damn long. I don't know if everyone else is like me, just has the patience to try nootropic for 3 months and then add something else. You guys know yourself best. At the end of the day, if you're somebody who is just very observant to your state, you kind of know what works, you kind of don't know what works. You're the kind of person that can get away with mixing nootropics here and there, trying something for a few days, making sure you don't feel any negative side effects, maybe trying something else for a few days, making sure you don't feel negative side effects, and then using them together. In the grand scheme of things, you just really, what's important is to know what is a stimulant, what is not a stimulant, what are the nootropics that often have negative side effects or shouldn't be paired with. And kind of once you have this foundation, you can say, then it becomes easier to mix nootropics together. Because I started taking paracetam before most nootropics out there, and I kept on hearing paracetam works best when you use it with choline and when you use it with other racetams. So that's what people don't know is, like, yes, you can take nootropics one at a time, but there's like building nootropic stacks. This is a real thing. In fact, most people who use nootropics don't just use 1 or 2 nootropics at a time. They're using several because they understand, like, there's magic there, man. There's magic. How many cold calls and appointments do you aim for daily? So I calculated my numbers. I made about 7,000 conversations a day since I got my license in 2013, selling houses. Even before that, before selling houses in 2012, I would make calls for my dad's team. My dad's like a really big, successful agent. He's accomplished a lot. And so, yeah, 7,000 conversations a day, 300 days a year times like 9 years. That's kind of where I am now. Where I spend most of my time is I train realtors. That's what I do. So now when I'm having a cold call or a warm call, I'm having a conversation with an agent, understanding what their business looks like, what are their pain points, what are they missing. Maybe they need help with lead generation. Maybe they need help with social media. Maybe they need help with actual conversion because they're not as comfortable talking to people as they should be. So that's where I'm spending my time anyway. And it typically looks like I'll spend like a good 3-4 hours on the phone. Maybe I'll get on Zoom for an hour. And yeah, if any of you are ambitious real estate agents out there, work with me at my brokerage, eXp Realty. We're international. We're in India. We're in the US. We're in Canada. You can work with me. You can get on all my private trainings, and we can have a good time. Let me know if that's something you're up for. Comment in the YouTube chat. Hey, can you talk about Dr. Sam Robbins Alpha Viral? I have no idea what you're talking about. Dr. Sam Robbins Alpha Viral. You know, man, I just saw Tony Robbins last week in Texas, but I don't know if this person's Sam. Currently cycling off Tongkat Ali. I really enjoyed taking time off Tongkat Ali, actually. I thought I would miss it. So this was about a month ago. It took about 3 weeks off. Started using Turkestrone. Loved Turkestrone. And I didn't feel as bad as I thought I would be being off of Tongkat Ali. As a matter of fact, I actually hit some good PRs, like dumbbell curl, side lateral raises, some things like that. Are there any tips that can help skin health? What can give me glowing skin so I can finally get a girlfriend and no longer be a pizza face? What a comment. Give it up for Peter for the authenticity and for reaching out for help. I think everyone should be asking for help. Skin health, it's just what works for you. For most people, they've kind of dialed it down to know what foods do cause acne or a reaction. For me, what that looks like is olive oil or oils in general. I never put oil on my face. That's my thing, which makes you break out. I barely touch my face. That's something which works for me. Qualia Skin is a great like skin nootropic blend, you can say, where they've got a number of ingredients out there, and you may just want to kind of look at that. Look at the ingredients. You'll find the key ingredients. You can try them. People see pretty good results with alpha lipoic acid. That's when you may want to look into. Yeah, sorry about I couldn't give you too much clarity on the skin health thing because people ask me all the time and I really just don't know. I don't know. Favorite nootropics for apathy and anhedonia. I think we kind of covered this before. I won't spend too much time on this, but lion's mane will really help you out. Taking a pre-workout, getting in a workout routine is really going to work wonders. What type of side effects did you feel taking Tongkat Ali? Also talked about this. Sweep the leg. I apologize. You'll see it in the timestamps. Cyril, if you're watching this, make sure you put this question in the timestamps. Appreciate you. Can you explain the difference between Alpha GPC and CDP choline? Gladly. And it's what CDP choline I look at as a subtle version. Alpha GPC stronger, yet at the same time more side effects. That's often what is reported with Alpha GPC. And Alpha GPC more often used physically. Like you'll find Alpha GPC in pre-workout products and formulas. You won't find CDP choline. There is some light research showing that Alpha GPC can actually boost growth hormone levels, making it good for muscle mass, making good for fat loss. So I really like Alpha GPC. You'll know the difference when taking them. It's like you take choline by tartrate, you notice nothing. You graduate, the next level is CDP choline. You'll notice your thinking is a little bit clearer. Your verbal fluency is a bit better. Your planning is better. You'll be able to have a little bit more discipline about your day. And then when you take Alpha GPC, it's just like a scale better. That's really how it feels. And with Alpha GPC, for instance, I just noticed when I stopped taking it, that's kind of one thing. I wouldn't necessarily say like withdrawals because it is very light, but maybe like you don't feel, maybe you lose like your 20%. Because when you take Alpha GPC for a long time, I'll sometimes take it three months straight, like not knowingly. Then I'll take a 2-week break, and you can definitely tell you're just not as sharper. Somebody will ask you a question, or like I'm in sales, you'll get an objection. You hesitate longer than you need to. That can't be happening. No. Carnitine gave me strength gains, but bad headaches for me. Very interesting. Did not know that. I find lion's mane is so amazing for speeding up my processing speed and verbal fluency. Very cool. I was wondering if you know of anything else that comes close to boosting that processing speed up. It would be Phosphatidylserine, combining that with Alpha GPC, a good choline source. That's pretty interesting because most people actually don't get that benefit from lion's mane. For most people with the lion's mane, the major benefit they get is that they feel less stress, less anxiety. They feel a sense of unattachment. For me personally, when I started taking lion's mane, like things that did not interest me suddenly started to interest me, which is a very positive thing because you get rid of anhedonia just by that in its in the way that it works. So it's very cool. Working in the biotech industry, and what do you recommend for rapid learning hands job as a chemist? Get on the memory stack. So I would recommend you watch the video on nootropics for nootropics for studying. The other video I made on nootropics for cramming, because they really kind of get deep in addressing how to learn things quickly, the best practices, like when you should use like emergency nootropics if you really have to study for something and cram. So you'll get to know a lot from that. Hi, how about Panax Ginseng? Ginseng, some people notice a strange reaction to it. I think the better alternative would be Rhodiola rosea. Rhodiola rosea, it's almost, I think it's about the same price. Also helps with stress, also helps with fatigue. With Panax Ginseng, not just myself, but very often you feel a little bit stimulated, a little bit uneasy, a little bit anxious, like you're shaking. So it does, both of them do the same thing in fighting stress. I'm not the biggest fan of Panax ginseng, but if you are going to take Panax ginseng, there's a specific form of it. I think it's like GS514, something like that, but it's on Nootropics Depot, because that specific form of Panax ginseng I actually really like, versus others I would not feel good. Like the Panax ginseng, I think it's like the leaf extract or one other extract that they had that on Nootropics Depot. I did not enjoy that at all. And guys, if you're new, if you just hopped on this thing, please give this a like. I really appreciate your support. And if you're watching this post live, then be sure to drop your comments so I know that you're here, because I'm learning that people are getting a lot of good value from this live stream, which is nice to know. I'm having trouble with passing in medical school. Do you know of any medication that can improve my memory and cognition, bro? Please help me. Yeah, so the same comment goes to you, Interpret, what I mentioned about the nootropic memory stack, and get to know yourself and how you respond to stimulants. For instance, like if you take modafinil or phenylparacetam, which are supplements, we know that you can take once and that, I mean, you'll get the energy, you'll get the focus to get through the material, but the problem is you're not often able to like internalize the information. So as you use nootropics, you'll better get to know what will actually provide that benefit. But to give you like something, Bacopa Mineri, taking that 300 to 500 milligrams twice a day is very good. Taking paracetam at like 1 gram twice a day, that's good. Also taking that with a form of choline. And if it's just a question of like getting to work to start with from the beginning to encourage yourself to study, then something like Noopep, that could be great. 10 milligrams, you can take it under your tongue, or you can take in the very small capsules, like they're tiny, because we're talking 10 milligrams. That'll get you the drive to actually go ahead and want to study in the first place. And then there's a few, I mean, there's some other things which are going to help a little bit, like oxiracetam could be good for an increased drive, but I don't really think it's absolutely like necessary for you to be taking. Hey, I need nootropics to increase morning cortisol. I always wake up extremely tired and lethargic. I think more so that's just designed around what your day is like, when you're eating, what nootropics you're taking before bed. What really actually helped me when it came to improving my sleep quality is something called carbohydrate backloading. So instead of having your carbs in the beginning of the day or the middle of the day or around your workout, for me, it was eating my carbohydrate. I know this sounds pretty crazy, but having your big carbohydrate meal actually towards the end of the day. And that for whatever reason did help me better with my sleep, because we know carbohydrates do increase serotonin. Serotonin does help you with sleep quality. So get that right. Try adjusting your carbohydrate intake. If you're on a keto diet or if you're on a low carb diet, they are known to have horrible sleep when you're on it. So you can make an adjustment that way. And then as far as nootropics that may help you sleep, Shodan being great, ZMA being great, Tribulus terrestris, and of course avoid stimulants. Do not take stimulants before 2 o'clock. Man, I hope I'm not talking too fast for everyone. Best supplement for BDNF, Lion's Mane. Lion's Mane's good. Noopept is good. Paracetam is good. Alpha GPC is good. Getting sunlight, that one's good. Exercising, do not skip the exercising. If you seek BDNF, if you just run for half an hour, you will get more BDNF than most nootropics out there combined. So that's something to consider. How long have you been eating healthy for? How much did it make a difference for you? Oh, pretty much, you can say I was about 30 pounds overweight until I was about 16. I'm 30 now. So yeah, no, I was just heavy. So I was forced to learn how to control my diet and understand the fact that diet is more important than exercise. You can even say when it comes to losing weight. So I really built that practice in my teenage years of like kind of being a bit more mindful of my calories, understanding what saturated fats are and why they're bad, and processed foods and complex carbohydrates, and having good protein and everything. So it was great because it helped me to develop that discipline, and that discipline kind of carried over in different things that I did, and consistency. And it made a big difference because for one, like, you got to have high energy levels. Everything requires energy. I can do this live stream now. It's 10:30. I've been working all day because why? I'm like striving for more energy all the time. So that's a big way it makes a difference. And then as well, just like the simplicity, the clarity of mind that you're getting, because you don't always have to, just choose a different meal all the time. So it's cool. Does Rhodiola rosea increase your heart rate? I become hyper and it's so hard for me to just chill. Me, no. Although I don't track my heart rate that much, really. How I track it really is just through my Oura Ring. I'm not giving them a shout out. I don't think they're that great. This Oura Ring. There are some flaws with it, but it's cool. You can press a button and then it tells you your heart rate. So I'm not tracking that like on a minute to minute basis, but I could definitely tell that when I take modafinil and phenylparacetam, pretty much the whole day, I've got an elevated heart rate because I'm usually something in like the low 50 to 55, but when I take something like that, I'm like 60 plus, which is never good. Your thoughts on taurine? It's okay. kind of don't more effective when you're using it with a lot of caffeine. Some people notice that they feel less anxiety. Some people notice that it kind of prolongs the effects of caffeine. Do I like it? It's okay. It's decent. However, is it a nootropic that I'm personally getting? Nope. I don't necessarily think it's one of those ones you got to be getting. I kind of feel anxious and irritated when mixing modafinil and L-Tyrosine. Is it common? Yes, it's actually very common. You mix modafinil and stimulants for the most part, or L-Tyrosine, it's pretty common to feel anxious, even if you take like just like vapes or some of the bad habits people have. Like you often feel worse than when you're taking them with modafinil. Inositol is a nootropic, not too effective. 3 out of 10. I just saw your video about studying nootropics and order stuff. Definitely do your research, people. Parsa, I appreciate that. And sorry, guys, if I'm skipping your comment. I'm just trying to be efficient here, not going through questions that have already been up here. If L-Tyrosine affects dopamine, how long can I cycle on it for? Should I take 5-HTP to keep my brain balanced? That's a great question. So L-Tyrosine, we know it to boost dopamine. 5-HTP, we know it to boost serotonin. They say you want to have a good balance of both. So if you take L-Tyrosine, take 5-HTP as well. Hasn't been the case for me. I've been taking L-Tyrosine almost every single day for years. I barely take any time off because I work out almost every single day. And I love L-Tyrosine. But more so, I believe that's important is if you're using L-Tyrosine to fix depression symptoms. Because if you're using L-Tyrosine for that purpose, whatever you've read is going to promote a crazy dose of 2 grams, 3 grams, 4 grams of L-Tyrosine, which I think is way too much. So perhaps if you're going with one of those dosages, then getting in some 5-HTP perhaps could be good. But even then, I don't think it's necessary, and you shouldn't really be taking that much tyrosine in the first place. 5-HTP, it's like a shot of happiness. You'll take a pill, you're in a good mood. It's hard to think bad thoughts, and so because of that, you can be a bit reliant on it. So it's like a bandage on your problems. It's very hard to think bad thoughts after you take 5-HTP. Pretty powerful. So that's also why I don't take 5-HTP. I think you're better off just building good mindset practices, getting in some good routines so you can be in a better mood. Can I mix lion's mane with modafinil? I don't see anything wrong with that. I think the reason you may want to is because lion's mane needs to be taken every single day in most cases for you to see the benefits. So it's like, although you won't notice the benefit of taking lion's mane when you use it with modafinil, right? You still just have to keep on taking lion's mane. You can't miss your dose each day. So for that reason, you may want to do it. What's your thoughts on common energy, sugar-free energy drinks? We covered this earlier. This live stream is going to be here. Can I take boron, Tongkat Ali, Fidogia, agrestis, vitamin B, D3, and ashwagandha together? I'm going to say that's okay. They're pretty subtle. They're not too stimulating. So try them one at a time. Make sure that you're not getting a negative response to them, and then you can be good and going. Nootropics for taking breaks from caffeine, stimulants, modafinil, not easy at all. I work nights. Skywalker, I would recommend what you do is you look at, there's stimulant-free pre-workout products out there. If you go on like bodybuilding.com, like stimulant-free. So what they've done is they have no caffeine, yet they have all these energy promoting ingredients out there. L-Tyrosine, a good mix of vitamin B. Maybe they'll have a taurine in there and some other things, perhaps some choline. So you'll find a lot of value just like looking at those, getting down the ingredients. I would say find several of them, find the common ingredients, then go ahead and start using those ingredients, and you'll be good. Did you take, speaking of CBL, carbohydrate backloading, did you take any berberine or GDA, glucose disposal agents? Appreciate your your knowledge with your high carb meal. Yes, and every Saturday I actually do have a high carb day, you can say. So during that time, I'm using GDAs. I'm using R-alpha lipoic acid. Sometimes I'll take some apple cider vinegar as long as I don't forget. Chromium. So what they're referring to here is like if you ingest too many carbohydrates, you can take them with some supplements. They can help you better store those carbohydrates to your muscle cells rather than your fat cells. That's what these supplements are for. And there's research showing that they do work under specific circumstances. Like if, for example, like they've shown to work really well for people that are overweight, or for people with type 2 diabetes, or who are on the brink of diabetes, because these are the type of people that actually don't tolerate food well or carbohydrates that well to begin with. So I don't think there's any like real benefit with them. Like that whole talk of the GDAs, they were very popular back like 2012 to 2014, but nobody really talks about them anymore because they figure if anything, it will help you look better, not necessarily not necessarily help you with the amount of muscle that you have and fat that you're having or losing. Have you always been a high energy person? Not really. Really, working out helps. If I don't work out, I don't feel the energy. So that's kind of like the magic formula. Best nootropics to take before an interview. Surprisingly, I'm gonna say none, because because with an interview, you don't want to be anxious and you definitely don't want to try something new. So the best answer to that is like taking nootropics several days up to the interview, so you know how you're responding to them, and then when the interview happens, it just happens, and those nootropics are kind of in your system. If you're somebody that does respond well to caffeine, though, you can consider taking caffeine and L-theanine. That's the one time when I may use caffeine and L-theanine together, but I don't like that L-theanine kind of does bring me down a little bit. It kind of takes away the nice edge that I get from caffeine. I like the euphoria that I get from caffeine. I don't want to like shut that down. I'm okay if it brings about a bit of anxiety, because as far as I'm concerned, like I'm following my business plan. Whether I'm anxious or not, it doesn't matter. I'm putting in the work and I'm putting in the numbers. What would you say is better to relax at night and get better sleep? 5-HTP or L-theanine in a high dosage? How about Tranquilax? Okay, 5-HTP might be good. I would say 50 milligrams to 100 milligrams can be okay. L-theanine at a dose of 100 milligrams is good. 200 milligrams is pretty high for most people, but it will calm you down. I don't think these few supplements are at all that effective though. So definitely watch some of the videos that I've made about nootropics for sleep. What ashwagandha variants do you take? Is KSM 66 better than the standard extract? KSM 66 is by far the best extract of ashwagandha. You've got the root, you've got the KSM 66. I've talked about the Shodan, but the way that I'm using ashwagandha is I'm taking 300 to 500 milligrams of ashwagandha sometime in the late afternoon, and then right before I sleep, I'm taking 120 milligrams of the form called Shodan. So with ashwagandha, you want to look out for this term. It's called withanolides, and different forms of ashwagandha will have different percentages of withanolides. So the higher the withanolides to some extent, the more sleepy you get as a result of taking it, which is why people like Shodan before sleep. In fact, there's a lot of research stating that. So that one's been great. Guys, I'm going to end this here. Don't forget to drop a like. Sorry if I did not get your question. I was going through them to the best of my ability. So again, I apologize. You're welcome to drop them in the comment section below. I'll get to them today. I appreciate you all. Had a great time as always. Thank you so much for your support, and support me as well. Of course, look at the links in the description box. There's some good products there, and I'll catch you guys next time. I appreciate you all.